Good morning, everyone. Hey, we've got the bikes mostly packed up here, and we're getting ready to go to breakfast this morning. I'm going to take the camera with me so that you can kind of see this Belle Lodge here a little bit more than what we showed you yesterday. It's pretty deluxe. So we'll be heading off to breakfast here shortly.
Upstairs in the Howard lunchroom. The air feels crisp and cool, and we just went down for breakfast. And it's just a nice way to wake up this morning. Definitely feel like we're in the mountains.
Today will be a crossover day. By that I mean we'll be starting out in a remote area, but ending up in a small town. We are taking a side trip to Stewart as well. This side trip was well worth it, and I highly recommend it. Join us as we ride through the coastal mountain range with a side trip to the sea.
Ruby, she was made for going west, did not protest my wandering ways. Ruby, she was pretty as they come, 28 years young and unafraid. She gave me shelter on the coldest nights, shaded me on summer days, and I had never known my place before, but that's what Ruby soon became. Ruby, she wasn't good at going fast in the pace.
Highway 37 follows the Belle River south between the Aegis Range of the Skeena Mountains and the Boundary Range along Alaska. It meanders through the mountains and valleys until its confluence with the Nass River at Mount Madeley.
I learned to grow, 'cause Ruby had a way of breaking down, leaving me out there on the road. But she gave me shelter on the coldest nights, shaded me on summer days. So as we traveled across the country wide, Ruby set the pace. Ruby could be fickle and unfit, good as I would get at times. Ruby was the closest thing to home I'll ever know in this life.
To illustrate how remote this area is, look no further than the Taft Creek Bridge. The bridge was originally built in 1984 as a single-lane bridge with a wooden deck. In 1988, it was widened to 2 lanes. In more recent times, the wood deck was removed and replaced with concrete. As a side note, Highway 37 was extended to Kitwanga as part of the extension of the Yellowhead Highway. In 1972, the highway was completed from Kitwanga to the Alaska Highway. This means prior to 1972, access to this 450-mile stretch was a difficult journey. Indeed.
Ruby hit that California sand and slipped right through my hands eventually. Ruby, I guess I knew it all the time. She was never mine to keep. She gave me shelter on the coldest nights, shaded me on summer days, and nothing ever felt like home again when Ruby went away.
I don't remember this section being uphill, but this tuckered-out bicyclist was walking. Luckily, he was very close to the junction for a break or repair if he needed it. On our way to Stewart, we'll bypass Mezzadin Junction. However, we'll stop here for fuel and a break on the way out. So for now, let's head west on Highway 37A. Highway 37 and 37A meet up at Mezzadin Lake, which is a beautiful glacial lake with a watercolor to match. Highway 37A winds through the canyon as it heads toward the coast. This is a must-do ride. You won't regret it. I'm so confused. Google Maps has this creek labeled as Surprise, but downstream has it labeled as Goldsmith Creek. And when it meets the lake, Stone Creek. Maybe a viewer can set the record straight in the comments. Either way, the mountains are stunning here, and the roadside sign says Surprise Creek. Beginning in 1940, Bear Glacier started to retreat and Stone Lake was formed. In 1967, the glacier retreated further up the valley, which left the lake free to flow out of the basin. Bear Glacier continues to retreat to this day. What a view, though. From Bear River Pass, Bear River flows westward and through the canyon on its way to Stewart. This section of Highway 37A is particularly scenic as it winds its way through the coastal mountains. As we near Stewart, the coastal cloud cover dims our view of the mountains. This is a natural and normal atmospheric condition caused by the warm water in the Gulf of Alaska. Places like Juneau, Alaska only experience, on average, about 44 days of sunshine a year. Stewart, British Columbia, sits at the head of Portland Canal along the Canadian and U.S. border. Once an indigenous populated area only, gave way to European settlers looking for minerals in the early part of the 20th century. Nowadays, mining is diminished with a local population of only about 500. Stewart is also the northernmost point of Canada's Pacific coast. Just a short ride along the canal brings one to Hyder, Alaska, once a booming mining town. Today, Hyder boasts a population of only about 48 people, and many of its businesses appeared closed. However, there was a campground for tourists and a post office. Hyder is the most southeastern point in Alaska and has no other connecting roads inside Alaska. This means we will be heading back into Canada shortly, but not before heading to the end of Wharf Road. This ride out to the canal will give you fantastic views of the canal and surrounding mountains. It's really beautiful. It wasn't my intention to annoy the Canadian Border Patrol agents, but I think border crossers like us are frowned upon. There is no U.S. customs on the Alaska side, which I found odd, but there's nowhere to go unless you leave by boat. I'm quite sure we would need to phone in to U.S. Customs Office, but there was no notice on the U.S. side. If one is a foreigner, please check both Canadian and U.S. Border Patrol before crossing either direction here. Our border crossing back into Canada went smoothly enough, and we ended up chatting with the agents who seemed to forgive us for our quick back and forth across the border for a tour of Hyder. We'll need to backtrack 38 miles before we intersect with Highway 37 again. Luckily for us, the ride out is just as lovely as the ride in. Heading back to the junction gave us a better view of Bear River. This 180-degree perspective put rapids and waterfalls front and center of our filming efforts. How cool is that? Magnificent, huh? As you can see from this clip, as we pull away from the coast, the blue skies come out again. It's just a coastal thing. Pretty awesome. For whatever reason, neither Sherry or I filmed our stop at Mazadin Junction. Despite our oversight, this is a great place to fuel up and take a break. A stop here works out whether you're heading north or south. We are back on Highway 37 and heading to Kitwanga. We'll be going through more remote territory, and the only places in between are Cranberry Junction and Gitanyao. If one has the time, turning off at Cranberry Junction and heading to Prince Rupert would be a great idea. As for us, maybe next time.
Another year for the hopeless dreamers stepping across the Milky Way.
After leaving Mazadin Junction, Highway 37 pulls away from the coastal mountains and runs in the middle of the valley. Despite not seeing any signs warning campers, this entire area is grizzly bear country. I mention this because we carry dehydrated food and snack bars. If you decide to camp here, please keep this in mind and plan accordingly. We carried bear spray as well.
The city was frozen, so we went north. January came in the night like a woman scorned. We welcomed her in with a fire in the forest. So stay a while, hold your hands, we're on our way to coming around again.
The Cranberry River is a tributary of the Skeena River and is best known for salmon fishing during the fall run.
Flower curtains in a yellow room. Trees stand naked in a sky set loose. Eating breakfast in bed, breaking all the rules. The future came with the new year, stars in the rearview mirror. It's all come to pass, we're just standing here. So stay a while, hold your hands, we're on our way to coming around again.
As we get closer to Kitwanga, we are seeing more and more vehicles. It is quite clear that from here on out, we will be in more populated areas. It is interesting to observe how close modern roads follow rivers and streams. This strategy is an ancient tactic to make travel easier while keeping one's bearings. A memory map, so to say. Kitwanga is a small community that sits near the Highway 16 and Highway 37 intersection along the Skeena River. In my mind, this area marks where the bush meets civilization. From here on out, we'll ride from town to town. There's still plenty of backcountry, but you're never too far away from a town. Kitwanga sits between the Hazelton and Buckley mountain ranges with an unbelievable backdrop. This beautiful location is midway between the coastal town of Prince Rupert and the interior town of Prince George. Heading east on Highway 16, we will make a big horseshoe ride around the Hazelton mountain range. Brian Boru Peak tops out at 8,225 feet and stands as one of the tallest prominences in the greater Kitimat-Strykene ranges. The Peak Bagger website shows only one registered climber making the ascent. The peak is listed as number 25 in all of the coastal ranges. We ride past New Hazelton, but this would be a great place to stop or stay. There are fuel stations, restaurants, and motels here. Reaching Whitsett means we are getting close to Smithers, our stopping spot for the night. Upon arrival, we get something to eat and take a break. Sherry had been complaining that her bike wasn't running correctly, so this gave us an opportunity to sort this out. It turns out her chain was stretched way beyond safe limits. This means Mike spent some time in the A&W parking lot tensioning her chain. There's no doubt that Mighty Quinn's sprockets and chain are in critical condition. This will need to be addressed at some point in time. Another problem was found too. Mighty Quinn's tool tube was holding water. Luckily, Mike was able to borrow a drill from the next door business and drill a weep hole. Problem solved for now. Well, here's Sherry and Mike with the day's recap.
Well, we're at the Sandman Hotel in Smithers, and Mike had to fix my bike today. I'll let him tell you more about that. Had to do with the chain. So we called ahead to Prince George, and we're getting the bike in tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we have to get up bright and early again to get there. It's about a 5-hour drive. But they're going to put a new back sprocket and chain on, which I guess I desperately need.
Well, we made it to Smithers, British Columbia, which was our destination for today. And boy, we had a great ride today, and I was glad we did that extra mileage out there to Stewart. That was really beautiful back in there, and we even went across the border to Hyder, as you saw in the videos. What a unique experience. Anyhow, this afternoon we were doing some maintenance in the A&W parking lot on the bikes, and got those things sorted out. But Sherry is in desperate need of sprockets and a chain. We were able to find a rear sprocket and a chain over in Prince George at a dealer over there. So tomorrow morning we're going to beat feet over there to try and get that changed out for her. That should make it so she can make it home. Hopefully that front sprocket isn't in too bad a shape. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care.